Home, home. Hey, oh, I like it. Get it. Hey, hey.
Harlem Shake.
Huh, how you doing? Wait. Hold on. I forgot. There we go. There we go.
And just because we're in Atlanta,
There we should have. Let's come on. Let's talk about it. Why have I not thought about it this whole time? I'm over here like, what dance moves am I gonna do? Should have pulled out the Atlanta moves, pulled out whatever can fit in this little.
you know what
Clearly, I should have
I'm
called you, right?
saying?
That is why we are connected.
Yes.
How are you doing?
I was about to throw it up real quick, like, not you
Hey.
hit it. Bam.
Yes, yeah, be quiet real quick and everybody got it. I do. Yeah. See, you
Straight
already
up.
know. So before the show, we're talking about band, all right? And that just takes me back. If we were in a stand together, you know how much fun we would have?
Oh my
Like,
gosh. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy how much fun we would have had. Like, they would
so
have honestly called us sisters, probably.
no, they probably would have. And especially again, we were talking about this graphic before we came on. I said, yeah, I see why they thought we were together when we first met. It makes sense. It makes
That's so
sense.
real.
But this is Joe Ventries, guys. We'll get into the show. Let's go ahead and jump into episode 129. If you know and love Women Connected in Wisdom, you know who this is. You know who we are, right? But let's do an official welcome and we could start talking about spiritual wellness. So I am Shannon Mitchell, a Black millennial entrepreneur and Amazon best-selling author and the founder of Shalo Glow, an all natural handmade personal products company that helps women with dry skin glow from head to toe. I'm a champion for your self care, business care, and intentional wellness. And again, this is Dr. Joe Veazey, Joe Ventrice Tolliver Russell. And if you ladies have listened over the 15 seasons that we've been on air, she's the reason that Christine and I met. So I count her as credit in all of the 129 episodes, all of the books. We have a guest today who is one of our volume 2 authors, and I credit the whole group also to you, Joe. So when we talk
Wow.
about right spiritual wellness and the ripples of our legacy and
Mm.
why we do what we do, you're the perfect guest host for today's episode, I feel like.
Oh my goodness. Well, I am so honored, beyond honored to even be in this space. Every time we get in a space together, it feels so surreal
Why?
because just looking how much has changed over time, how much we've
Mm,
grown, how much our brands have grown.
yeah.
You got a whole skincare company, sis. Like,
Yes. I be thinking about you said, dang, last time I hung out with Joe for real, like she didn't have no kids. Now we got Ezra and Maya, like it's
it's
been
real.
a lot
It's
has happened
real.
over the past few
A
years.
lot, a
Yeah.
lot, and it's all good. Like it's growth,
Yes.
but it also goes to show you the level of our friendship and our relationship, how we can navigate different seasons of life
Hmm.
and still adapt in our relationship and friendship. I think about that a lot, to be honest,
Yeah,
because
between me and you or in general.
both, like our
Okay.
relationship and friendship,
Yeah.
as well as just in general, because we're always ever evolving.
Hmm.
And the fact that we're still, you know what I mean, we still rock with each other the way that we do,
Yeah.
pray with each other, check
Yeah.
in, all those different things. Like, that doesn't happen with every relationship. Like
It's
throughout
true.
time, some things just fall off or whatnot. But I think God was really intentional when He allowed us to meet. So,
Won't he do it? What? Oh my goodness. Where would I be? I have no idea. I really don't. So super grateful for the connection and super grateful to be able to have the opportunity to share what works, for
mm,
ourselves, like we're saying, through transitions and different seasons and positions, roles and responsibilities, and for our community, because we do pray together and how we hold space for each other in different seasons and different times, whether we're in contact or
mhm,
if I know I haven't talked to Joe, we still here though. We
mhm.
just somewhere else right now,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what does that look like? I'm super excited to talk about it.
Yes. Ooh,
Yes.
I
Yeah,
need it.
me too.
Let me just
I
start
need it
there.
from y'all. So I'm like, okay, I can't wait for these ladies to speak. So let's get into the definition and then we can bring our guests up and have a conversation. How does that sound?
That sounds good. Sounds perfect.
Beautiful. Okay, guys. So today, again, we're talking about spiritual wellness. And spiritual wellness allows us to be in tune with our spiritual selves. This realm of wellness lets us find meaning in life events and define our individual purpose. It can be defined through various factors, including religious faith, values, ethics, and morals. Regardless of whether you believe in a particular religious faith, there is always something to be learned about how you see yourself in the world.
Mm,
So when you hear that, Joe, and this year has been crazy. It's been a roller coaster
mm,
of a year, right? Spiritual
mm.
wellness definitely important. When you hear that definition, what comes to mind for you?
So many things. But the first thing that comes to my mind is spirituality, and your spiritual wellness is the lens in which you see the world for your entire life.
Hmm.
And I'm like, wow, that's incredible because I mean, everybody isn't taught that your spiritual well being, honestly, is make or break, like for your life. Like having a
Yes,
stable and solidified spiritual foundation is like number one, honestly.
it
And
is.
the fact that our culture is really just getting to the space where we're allowing more space for freedom in spirituality practices,
Mm,
and nailing in the severity and the importance of it at an early age is astounding. Like,
yes,
whoa.
absolutely.
It
I
determines your health. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I could tell you when I remember having this conversation one time. We had a church trip, and I was in middle school. We were sitting in this
Mm.
a group, a little circle, just like we were when we met, right? Sitting in this circle, and the youth leader asked us if we remember when we were called, I think. And I do. It was like an audible voice, right? So as a young black
Mm.
woman in the South, okay, I'm hearing about history that people didn't think I was capable. Like, that's crazy that, oh, okay, it's a
Mm.
surprise to me, but no matter what happens, I know that I'm called. So that can never,
Yeah.
like, so I hear what you're saying, but
Hmm.
that's that's the foundation. When the storm and everything else is blown away, what does the
Hmm.
foundation look like? And
That's right.
Joe, this week, like testimonies on testimonies, it's crazy.
Mm.
Um, so the spiritual foundation, super grateful for it, and super grateful for, again, the peace that surpasses understanding,
Mm.
and iron that sharpens iron, and being able to like be like, this is not okay, and have the conversation with you, and then laugh and pray and be like, but we're always victorious. So the enemy tried it, and he's still mad, and he's gonna be mad tomorrow
Ooh.
because we're doing what we're supposed to do. So I love that I can
Mm.
have that reassurance because it makes sense why the uncertainty moves people so easily. It's a lot, but I
It
don't have
is.
to carry the weight of it. I don't have to figure it out. It's
Mm.
not for me to figure it out. I don't know.
That's so crazy that you say that because I feel like that has been the theme of this entire day for me.
Mm,
Like, just take a step, take the next step,
mhm,
even without knowing what's going to happen. And at times I struggle with that. Like, I want to know what doing this particular thing, like how, what type of result it's going to yield. You
mm,
know what I mean? Like,
yes,
that's probably why I liked economics a little bit because it
mhm,
was a lot of if you do this, then you'll receive this response
yes,
or this
yes,
product.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, you saying that is like those are like two pillars of our friendship. Honestly, for me, is
mm,
iron sharpening iron and the peace that surpasses all understanding. Because even earlier this week, when you shot me a text and was like, "I'm
listen,
praying that you have peace of mind," like
mhm,
just randomly, like
yeah,
that's literally our relationship. Like random text messages of
mm,
affirmation that
mhm,
God got us,
yeah,
and don't be afraid, don't be weary.
no,
Your good doing is never in vain.
yeah.
And that sharpens me because sometimes I'd be like, I just wanna
Ah! Yeah.
I saw something
Yes.
on Instagram. It was like a snippet of some type of energy release in class, and I was like,
Mhm,
I want to do that because it was literally black women sitting Indian style and like breathing and like screaming to the top of their lungs, and I'm like,
we could do it.
yo, I need that.
So let's talk about it, and then let's bring on our guest, okay? So we can have this full circle conversation online now instead of in person, right?
Okay.
Um, but we could definitely do that. Like we're talking about retreats and stuff, so we have the
Yes.
book. excuse me, coming out in October. So we'll have the conference, the second annual Women Connected in Wisdom conference that
Mm,
hopefully you ladies will be part of, right? Immediately after that. But
yes,
the goal, the bigger vision after that is retreats and stuff. So I can definitely see something like that being part of it.
for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I'm here
Yeah.
for it.
And Rayleigh, our guest today, actually also has a retreat coming up this year. If you guys want to get to the mountains in the Carolinas, she's got a lot of good stuff. So I'm going to let her tell you about it, okay? But first, I'm going to read her bio. And Rayleigh, forgive me if I say your last name wrong, but Rayleigh Duschen, am I saying it right? Duschen? Okay, beautiful. Rayleigh Duschen received the call to the shamanic, excuse me, one or two. I could do me a piece. A one? Okay, shamanic? Okay, I got you. Rayleigh Duschen received the call to the shamanic path in 2018. And by 2019, she had surrendered a prestigious medical school scholarship to
Mm,
honor her soul's need for full time healing and entrepreneurship.
mm,
She is the founder of Conscious Lifestyle Coaching, LLC, a company based in Asheville, North Carolina, and the author of Phoenix Medicines, a transformative journey through consciousness, a sweet collection of short stories, poetry, affirmation, and prayers.
mm,
Rayleigh is a certified yoga and meditation guide through the Santosha Yoga Institute, and her teachings emphasize the significance of the breath and deep transformative awareness of mind, body, and spirit.
mm,
She received her BS in Family and Child Sciences, and and an honorable academic portfolio of study in psychology, mental health, social development, Western medicine,
mm.
and Family and Child Development from Florida State University. Please, right, snaps for Rayleigh.
Woo!
Please welcome her to the stage. Welcome, welcome to Women Connected in Wisdom, Rayleigh.
Thank you guys so much for having me, and I can definitely see the sisterhood between you two. It's beautiful.
Aw.
Thank you. We have a good time. This is where we like to live. Like the foolishness is really surprising. I'm like, so tell me about like this competition and the cattiness that everybody's like, yes, it's always like this. I said, always?
Mm,
Like, tell me about it because this is where we live, you know?
yeah,
So
yeah.
what do you see, Rayleigh?
It just made my heart smile to know that it was pure. It was God that brought you together
Yeah.
coincidentally, and you're right next to each other, and you literally look like sisters, and
Yeah.
Oh.
and that is a beautiful awareness to have when you allow spirit to guide you and to bring you to your soul tribe and the people who are meant to grow you. And it does speak to your soul. It happens every day for me as well, where the people God has brought into my life will text me out of the blue something that it was my prayer that
Yeah.
morning, and then it's being answered through someone else,
Mhm.
and they don't know it. They're just being themselves, and that's the beauty of
Mm,
that soul expression between people. So I see that between you all, and I recognize it. And when I see it around me, it's like that's so precious.
Yeah.
It's a gift.
Thank you so much.
mm.
And
I just receive all of that.
I
That
receive
is,
it too.
those are
Yes.
like goodies, like
Mhm.
candy affirmations right there. It's so like sweet and whoo, I love it. I'm
Yes.
thinking of some other like metaphors, but
And that's your creative side, right? Let me know. We could do a book of metaphors for this stuff. But like I told you ladies before, I'm super excited to have this conversation with you. And when I think about the two of you with Women Connected in Wisdom, I think about our books, right? So
Mm,
if you ladies don't know, and you might not know this about Rayleigh because we have yet to really release our volume 2 information and we're on the way, right? We're starting the process tonight with our cover reveal. But Rayleigh is also going to be in volume 2 and she's talking about our divine
mm,
nature as a spiritual wellness expert. So Rayleigh, when you think about divinity and remembering that within yourself, what do you think about?
Mm. I've titled this was the title of my year, actually, remembering my divine nature, and it's been a journey, a few years of learning to truly fall in love with me and the image that God has created me to be and the vision God has wanted me to serve. So that means falling in love with me, but falling in love with the God that's in everything, absolutely everything around me. And for me, nature has been one of the most pivotal pathways to that that deep
Yes.
connection. And really the opportunity to embrace all of me by freeing myself. That what does it mean to be wildly, expansively, naturally myself? And I've titled this year for me, Remembering the Divine Nature, um, remembering what it means to be a feminine woman in the eyes of God, and finding my place in the world and rooting myself in that being, in that embodiment, and standing firm in that. And knowing that I belong here, I'm a part of it, I'm a part of everything, and I have a divine purpose. And it's embodying the spiritual gifts that God has given me, that everybody has. And what are those gifts? And it's gifts that's preached across all doctrines, right? All around the world.
Yes.
Um, and that love of God. But truly, what does it mean to embody it? Become.
Mm,
And then when I embody it, how can I share it? And then how can I remember it's everywhere and everybody and see it?
mm.
Yes.
That's amazing. I mean, so many things have like came up for me as you were speaking. Spiritual gifts sticks out like probably the most because whoo, you're right. Like across doctrine, spiritual gifts are talked about, are highlighted. It's part of when someone is seeking their purpose. And I remember taking a spiritual gifts test like 3 or 4 years ago, and when I actually sat down and looked at my results, I was like, wow, it makes so much sense.
Mm.
And it honestly is like a it cancels out doubts. It's like a doubt elixir. Like, if doubt was a poison, it would be the what do you call it when you're trying to get poison out?
The
It's like
antidote.
antidote.
Mm.
Yeah. Like if doubt is a poison, then knowing your spiritual gifts is the antidote. And knowing, it leads to your purpose. And it made a whole lot of sense about why I chose the decisions that I chose, to be honest. And so, yeah, it's a whole lesson in just spiritual gifts alone. And it needs to be taught like way sooner, like way sooner, because it's our
Yes.
foundation.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And when you mention that, it makes me think like, okay, so you know your spiritual strengths and your gifts. And when you do that, it also shows your weaknesses, right? Sometimes
Mhm.
iron ain't sharpening iron can be uncomfortable, right? But
Mhm.
that also shows you the opportunity where your community can step in. Now
Mm.
you can build a team for the business because it's not just supposed to be you anyways, right? So,
That's
okay,
right.
I make cute graphics. Somebody help me with this sales funnel. You know what I mean? Like somebody covered the rest of it that
Somebody.
I'm not, right? The expertise in yet, right? And that it shows you the opportunity, and this past Sunday, so the church Joe and I met at is Victory, right? And I've been going online to campus, and we went to Midtown last week actually, and what they were talking about was, ooh, did I lose the idea? It might come back. Gifts, the team. Oh, that in your weakness, that's when God can show his strength, right?
Mm.
So I'm like, I don't know. That's not I don't know and I'm out. It's not for me to figure out.
Mm.
That's what that is, like I know for a fact that it's for me to let go, to pray about. Let me call Joe, right? Help me
Mhm.
process. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna say it. And then just say
Yeah.
it and then we can organize it, right? And then okay, like
Mhm.
this is how I can specifically pray about it, or this I can sift out, and then this is what I go forward with in my next step of action. So
Yes.
knowing that and then being able to build a community intentionally is what helps me with the sustainability through the transitions in the different seasons.
Mm.
Right.
I got to snap on that, sis.
Thank you.
For real. Like, Rayleigh, I do have a question for you. So, you, as Shannon was listing out all of the things that, all of the education and the background and the experience, I am just so excited that we get a chance to really dive in and like pick your brain on certain things. So I have a family, and it happened within 3 years. Like over, it seems like to me sometimes overnight. I
Mhm,
just I woke up and I got a whole entire family.
mhm,
Shannon and I met. I was single. I was on my own journey. I was building myself up as a local speaker, and trying to transition from 9 to 5 into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And throughout our relationship and our friendship, she's seen me transform and transition into now mom, wife, and still doing a lot of the things that I did before, but a lot of things I did before I'm not doing. And so my question to you is, as someone who is skilled with expertise in family, um, and children and youth development, what are some of what are some keys that you can give a mother, um, especially a new mom, as she's transitioning from who she was to now being in it as a mother and a wife, and all the things, the roles, and how can she what type of practice can she do to make sure that she is always growing and not looking back so much, more so
Mm.
just moving forward and trusting that that the destination of the transition is safe.
Mm. That's beautiful. Thank you for asking. I would say always returning to that place within, that home that resides within, that secret place, that little garden that you've had ever since you were a little girl. You know that place where if you've ever needed to escape, if whenever you were afraid, whenever you were alone, you went there. That place is always going to be cultivating, always growing, and that's a space that we can always return to. It doesn't matter what we're transitioning through, and that safety, that peace within is what's going to continue to ground us through this life. And but we'll notice too, as we ground and we can return to it, there is something growing there. There's beauty happening, and we're, you know maintaining a practice. Doesn't matter how busy you get, we have to stay grounded. We have to continue to water that secret garden within, and find the space, find the time, because we can better pour into our children, into our family, into the relationships around us when we pour into that cup. Um,
Mhm.
so having a self care practice, doing your yoga, your meditation, continuing your prayer, and remaining that joy and never losing it. That little girl that's within Joe, you know,
Mm.
never lose her, and always continue to talk to her and nourish her, because you are also a child of God, of spirit. And when we retain that life, that joy within, we can continue to show up. And I feel as women especially, we feel we have to bury that part of ourselves. It's like a martyring self-sacrifice, because
Mm.
we think we can serve better if we forget about ourselves, and then we're just showing up. But really that place comes from a place of fear that we're not good enough, we're not worthy enough, we're not doing enough. But when we come from a place of love, we include ourselves in that. um, so yeah,
Wow.
that's what I would say.
Wow. I am so glad that we are recording this podcast, because I'm definitely going to rewind and just to hear you say that, like,
Mhm.
it gives me so much power, like to hear you say that. You totally just empowered me. And yeah, I
You're
appreciate
doing that for me as well. You're prophesizing to me as well in my journey. I don't have
wow.
a family yet, but I've studied families because it's a great desire in me. But I know it's coming because you're speaking to my spirit too. So thank you.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I
Mm.
look forward to it. And same thing, really, right? I'm not there yet, but I'm enjoying my season and I look forward to that one. And I didn't realize, Joe, I didn't think about the fact that we had met and we were both single,
Yeah.
and now it's been years later. So Rayleigh, Joe and I met, right? And then I got connected to Manifestation Monday, and that's where I met Christine. And then, you ready for this? Then I managed her music release and met my partner, and we've been 4 years strong, me and my
Come
baby,
on.
yes. And he's doing our audiobook and is on the team. So he's helping exponentiate Women Connected in
Amazing.
Wisdom, And it's been beautiful the way that we talk about the gifts, that God has used the gifts, and even to have both all of my partners on the business on the audiobook, because it's Christine is my business partner for Shalo Glow, and then it's also my romantic partner. So everybody at the table is helping build,
Hmm.
God's vision of us being taken care of dimensionally. And it's interesting when I think about coming from a place of, like you said, I don't have children yet, right? But Joe just asked your advice because you have studied and have experience, and you've done work, right? And a lot of times as women, especially in an environment that questions what we say, well, why would Joe, who's a mom, ask you? Why would you know, right? But wait a minute. You don't ask the
Mhm.
cancer doctor, "Have you had cancer before? What type?
Mm,
When?
So
How d"
true.
You don't do that.
nope.
You know what I mean? You trust their
It's true.
experience, and
Hmm.
we listen to what they say, and that's, we should get multiple, opinions and sift everything, and that's what we talk about on this
Yes.
show, right? But
Absolutely.
I love the fact that you asked her, and I love the fact that you stood on what you know, and for me, that's been the experience and the importance of spiritual wellness, because we think that we should be qualified up until a certain point,
Mhm.
or that in life we should be at a certain point, or XYZ, whatever these boxes and stories that we tell ourselves. But
Hmm.
if we know that God qualifies the call, then if I have a voice, then okay, if we're top 4% in the world, which is where we're at right now, ladies, top 4% podcast talking about
Mm.
spiritual gifts, then it looks like God opened the door, and it looks like we're qualified to be here. So not just,
Yes.
from a place of, oh, I can do it, but really having studied and having put in the work and maintaining the position of our heart so that we're in correct posture when we come, and not just for a cloud or because of the name, because it's a lot
Hmm.
of work, and it's easier to just take guidance from somebody else, actually, instead of running your own business. So it's definitely not
Mm.
just to, like, you know, and we could talk about what's
Yeah.
easier.
And I want to say this too.
Yes.
Great point, Shannon. Because immediately as you were speaking, I was thinking about ways that we can be advocates for each other without
Mhm,
having the experience. In
mhm.
fact, that makes you the best advocate because
What
you
do you
have
mean?
a forest view. So like, okay, for example, I'm in the thick of it, right? And I'm here. I'm doing
Of
all the
motherhood.
things. Say it again.
Of in the thick of what?
In the thick of motherhood,
Got it.
marriage, and
Mhm.
you can
Yes.
fill in the blank, whatever you're in
Right.
the thick of.
Mhm.
But that outside person that is looking at you from the outside looking in, and you looking, just having a different perspective, a very good one. Like I call
Right.
it a sniper
Mhm.
perspective. Because
Mhm.
listen, you can't just have ground people on the ground shooting. You got to
That's
have
true.
snipers to make
Mhm.
sure that they're looking at things that are coming in your blind spots. And that's what
Mhm.
I mean by
Mhm.
the importance of somebody from the outside looking in, giving you their feedback, their expertise, their advisement, their affirmation. So
Yes.
I consider it to be like a privilege and a gift to have those types of people in your circle, because it makes your army strong.
Mhm.
Not just seeing it from your view, but seeing all of the different things that you cannot see. And yeah, I take my eyes off of that, a lot of, you know, retreating back to that inner child. I mean, scripture says you got to become a child again to enter the kingdom of God. I mean,
Mhm.
how much more clear,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? So I even take that and I'm like, okay, that is definitely mandatory. And I don't think it's a
Yeah.
one-time thing either. I
Mhm.
think it's day to day.
Yeah.
It's like having someone you spent hours and days and months writing an essay, but
Mhm.
having someone who's never even like read the essay at all or look at it, and
Mhm.
then they find things that you kind of became blind to because you've been looking at the essay over and over again. So
Yes.
someone with fresh eyes taking a look at it and saying, "Hey, I found this, I found that." It's
Right.
uh, so important.
And that's what I found doing the second volume, right? In the first volume, I wasn't project manager, and this one I am, right? So why a degree in psychology instead of a degree in something that you would think that would sound like it's directly aligned? But what I found is that it actually allows me to honor the voice of the author and think of the story and how things will land, and
Mm,
speaking points that they may be able to have, and different ways that I can support them, support the reader, and support the process, because I'm not the person that is traditionally taught how to do it. So like you
yeah,
said, it's a different vision, and it's been beautiful.
absolutely. And Rayleigh, I want to ask you this because I don't want people to think that with spirituality it only focuses just on like family, but family's the foundation. That's why what you do is so big, it's so important. I have a background in organizational development and leadership, and it totally blew my mind, the very first class I took, because one of the things I learned is that every business is based off of the family organization. So
Mhm.
how all big businesses are organized, it came from simply the way that the family's organized.
Mm.
having two parents and having the children, and the way that you teach, and the way that someone leads. You have the head, then you have the manager, and then you have, of course, the children and whatnot. But I say that to say that, not knowing that the family is a foundation of that, I think some businesses have lost sight, of how to maintain, how to continue to grow, and even how to take care of their people who are helping to run the business, and who are, if it wasn't for them, they wouldn't have the gas to continue to run all the miles. So, I do want to ask too, in what ways does your work, um, kind of highlight or expose just the culture, I would say the mass culture of how businesses are run these days? Like,
Hmm.
how does your work expose? I'm ready. I'm trying to expose some folks.
I
Okay,
love it.
okay.
Yeah,
Um,
especially toxic businesses. Like,
no, it's true. I know Shannon and I connected on that too because I was in survival mode trying to reclaim my spiritual gift and my practice, my
mm,
soul identity, what I'm doing on this earth, and not let corporate America steal that from me. And actually go, how do I go back and influence a culture? And that's where I'm at with conscious lifestyle coaching. But first I want to say that, family is everything. I think that family is just, that is spirit, that is spiritual wellness, right?
mm,
uh, that spiritual connection we all have makes us all one family. So how do we remain children of God, or these, retain our joys, remembering to play and to have fun. And when I go into nature, I'm reminded of that. I go to a river, I go to a beach, I go to a waterfall, and it's the joy, the astoundedness of, this was created for me. This is my playground. This is my home. Thank you. You know, it's returning to that gratitude. And my spiritual gift I've discovered is peace. And how do I honor that in this society where there seems to be a lack of peace everywhere I go, especially in workforce, right? So when I'm in an environment and it's taking my joy and my peace away and it's making me sick, I have no choice but to acknowledge it, to bring it to my awareness and do something about it. So it turned into me leaving that culture, and I'm trying to create a counter one that's really the original design anyway, right? Under God's eyes, creating this beautiful
Yes.
garden for us of
Yes.
peace. So as I go in and I expose, and I'm just being myself. And I walk into these environments, and this is how I discovered my spiritual gifts. So if you don't know what yours is, this is how you can discover it. What is something you always did as a kid when you were stressed? Who did you run to? What did you run to? And what have people always told you throughout your whole life that you make them feel, or, that was a talent you had? And for me, people always said I give them peace, that they feel peaceful around me, they feel safe with me. So I'm like, okay, that is a gift I have that I want to share more and more and more. So when I go into these companies, or I approach environments or churches even, and there's no peace, but I'm embodying it. So I walk in already peace. I am peace. I am love. I am joy. And I'm just there to remind everybody else to reclaim that within themselves. And as we do that, we create environment, we create a sacred space for everybody. And that's when we can invite our customers, our clients, right, into that space. Why would we want to invite them into chaos and stress and confusion? Why would they even want to buy those products? So
Right.
I'm all for reclaiming those parts of ourselves, that we don't have to make abundance or money off of things that are toxic. We're embodying toxicity. We can sell things that contribute peace into the land, into ourselves, and to people around us, and we'll probably find, and we will find, we create more abundance in that way that is more sustainable. Um, so I will never feel shame for creating a company that teaches mindfulness, or creating a company that allows um, frontline workers to retreat with me into the mountains. I honor that, and I honor it's a feminine medicine to create those spaces too, of nurture, of peace. Um, and I think that's lost. I think that's really lost in the society
yeah.
of finding those places where we can take the armor off and let go and feel safe with each other. Instead, we have this armor on everywhere, everywhere
Ooh.
in society. It's It's a lack of authenticity. But the more we find the courage to be ourselves and reclaim our peace within, the more we create these safe spaces everywhere. And the workplace should be just as important as the home, just as
Ooh,
important.
talk about it.
Hmm.
Goodness.
It's so important.
Authenticity. Ooh, that word there.
What do you think?
Authenticity. I mean,
So,
that was, like when I was studying ODL, that was the word that was used the most, was authenticity. One of the very first courses I took was personal and professional development. And I don't want to lose where I was going with this, so I'm gonna go back. So one of the
Okay.
things, authenticity. Okay, so the word authenticity stuck out to me as you were speaking, and I also took mental notes on femininity and
Hmm.
masculinity, and
Hmm.
how the fact that there is, when you see toxic things or you see things that need adjustment or are unstable, a lot of the times, from my experience, it's the unstable balance. Like it's an imbalance of masculinity and femininity. And I think in business, especially, I think someone, let me speak to like my experience. I have felt as a woman, um, at times very, very pressured into adopting a level of masculinity that I didn't necessarily feel comfortable with,
Hmm.
yes,
or
me too.
having to express myself and translate what I really want to say in a more feminine way to what would,
Yes,
how would this sound in a more masculine version. And I
Hmm.
think, I can't speak for all Black women, because that's not what we do. Like, you can't, like, one Black woman is not going to entail every experience, but I can speak to my own experience, and
Yes.
that the line of women that I've come from have
Hmm.
all been hard workers, assertive, outspoken. And in some ways, they were over functioning in those areas because they felt a pressure
yes,
to act in more masculine ways than they probably than their nature probably wanted them to. You know what I mean? Um, I could write another book about just that, and
Really.
I do want to have, like, other conversations about in business, seeing that it's shaped like the foundation of a family. And in a family, there is a balance of femininity and masculinity. And with every spiritual practice across the board is maintaining that balance,
Hmm.
because we are all made in the image of God, not
Right.
just male. We are all, male and female, we are
Both
made
divine.
in the image of God.
Yes.
So the same traits and the same ways that we express, like as women, God expresses the same way, because we mirror him. He designed it that way. And like God, we use the term he and she and all these different things. But at the end of the day, God is so much bigger than gender. God is so much bigger than pronouns. Like, God is God, all encompassing, love,
Right.
period. And I think that reeling it back in business, sometimes as a woman, I have felt pressure to even hold back the way I want to love, because maybe the business isn't can't receive it all the way, or maybe it has, like, there is a we talked about hidden rules, because
Hmm.
every business has rules that they don't say, but you see how everybody's operating, and you're like, wait a minute,
it's a
is that a
culture,
hidden rule?
Right.
company
Yes.
culture.
Yes. So it's I think it's deeply inbred in our culture, especially in America. Um, and I do think that like we are undoing it, and because of you
There we are.
and like us as a collective and the work that we all do, I do think that we are uncovering and reversing and stabilizing the energies that are supposed to be, in reflection of God. So,
Yeah.
woo, I just had
Oof.
to say that.
Thank you. And that's why I'm excited about what I'm writing about in volume two. Because I was like, what am I going to write about? There were supposed to be two chapters, and then here we go with the work that was supposed to get done, the to-do list, and it was what actually brought me peace when I decided, I felt like heard the Holy Spirit say, "What if you didn't do a second chapter?" Well, don't I have to? Well, don't you not actually? Because shout out to Coach Cole did another chapter. Actually, You don't say, "Oh, wow, look at that weight lifted," like,
Mm.
immediately, you know?
Mm.
And now what I'm writing about is workflows and capacity, right? And in the workflow, right, it's rest and reset at the end, and through it is including your team and communicating and checking in, because the checklist is great, right? But if the checklist doesn't include time for the team to talk, like, we can't have a conversation. This is not me on Instagram. This is just me filling the team in with where we are today. That has to be included, whether it's
Yes.
us building our own teams. And like you said, how are we recreating it? What does it look like in a healthy way? Okay, we have feedback, and feedback is a gift. I'm not mad if everything isn't perfect. Thank you for letting me know, but what do we do with it? Okay, I
Yes.
hear you, moms. You need to be considered. Okay, well, let's act like we know that everybody needs at least 9 months, and some give and take between what happens for all these babies to be born, and we have to
Yeah.
figure out how to work through that, and how do we include it into it. I'm super excited to continue the conversation.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So, Rayleigh, I have a question about this honorable degree, because I've always been interested
Hmm.
in how that happens. So, can you walk us through what that was like for you, and how do you balance, and I know this is like a two-part, how do you balance the things that you're working on for yourself, and staying in your secret garden, and your secret garden, and balancing your spiritual wellness?
That's a good
Mm.
question.
Well, the honors thing, I'll bring it back to discussion of. So I grew up and I was a smart young woman. For me to make it somewhere, I thought I had to be a doctor or a lawyer, right? To have any sense of authority or success in the world. So
Hmm.
I actually um, applied for this bridge program into medical school. And so going into college, I got my medical school seat going. All I had to do was, check some boxes. I
Yes.
was on it. So
Yeah.
that was my, honors medical scholarship that I got because I was very, in my masculine energy, I would say, of, you know, you make things happen. That's how you survive in this world.
Mhm.
Um, and eventually that led to a burnout, right? It
Hmm.
wasn't really who I was. I knew I was a healer, but I
Mhm.
had this uh, patriarchal idea of what it meant to be a healer in society. Well, there's other ways to heal that society
Yes.
needs. We
Yes.
need more teachers. We need more
Mhm.
social workers. We need more yoga teachers.
Yes.
They're just as pivotal. Pivotal. I cannot say that word today.
Hey, I'm on the same boat. We're
Pivotal.
together, okay?
Pivotal
Yes.
to that to the collective health.
Yes.
Mhm.
So when I allowed myself to flow spiritually and to let go and detach from that identity that wasn't me and just
Ooh.
who I was, right? As a writer, you know, I'm a writer, I'm a yoga teacher, I'm a meditation guide, I'm a coach. And those are, I guess it could be more autistic, opposite brain parts of me that I was afraid to embrace because I thought it would mean not having a voice. And someone told me that actually when I gave up the scholarship, they said,
That what?
yeah, um, that I wouldn't have a voice. How would I be heard in society if I didn't get the lawyer degree or the doctor degree? And she said I was making a mistake.
So what do you
And
say now?
here I am on a podcast being heard. So that's a lie.
Loudly.
But it
Loudly.
was fear. She was trying to protect me, and that's what we do, right?
Yes.
But
Yes, we do.
I'm glad I didn't listen and not listen to
Yes.
that fear.
Oh my
So now,
goodness.
right, right. Um, and I hear
Sheesh.
that a lot.
Right.
Actually,
Yes.
the last time I spoke publicly, they were saying, "Can you speak louder?" Because the microphone wasn't working,
Mhm.
and I have a very gentle voice, and I said, "No, fix the microphone."
Yes, ma'am.
This is why don't you maybe listen? Let's come into presence and listen
Mhm.
what I have to say instead of forcing me to be something I'm not. I'm not going to yell. And that was taught in the, corporate America too, is as you're more respected if you're exuberant, you're loud, and that overly confident center stage person. But
Right.
actually, what I find is when I honor myself, my femininity, and you know, people actually want to hear what I have to say because they know it's going to be good because they've
Yes.
watched me listen and observe for 2 hours. Let's hear what she has to say, and I've been listening. So here it is. I lay it on you. But I
Yes.
didn't
Mhm.
have to fight. I don't have to
No.
pretend to be something I'm not to earn that space.
Yes.
Mm.
So now it's that fear of, okay, I've let the identity go again of being this business executive woman, and
Mhm.
I am that. I own a company, obviously.
Hello.
I'm a CEO now. I'm the director of marketing and everything.
Right.
So, but maintaining my practice, staying again in my garden space of I'm not doing this to prove anything. I'm not doing this
Right.
to become anybody. I'm allowing myself to unfold naturally, to blossom naturally, and to rise, um, and inspire people along the way, and stay in my peace, stay in my center, because that's the gift. Any moment that I'm not honoring that, I'm
Mm,
not honoring myself, I'm abandoning myself. Every time I do that, every time I try to force myself into identity, into a box, I get sick. It
mm,
actually manifests in my body. So, health to me is my number one priority. If I'm not healthy, then I'm doing something wrong. And I'm never going to ever sacrifice my health to work, whether it's my job or someone else's. I will
Ever.
never again ever
mhm,
do that.
No.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it to kill yourself or something, especially if it's not even your dream. It's not
mhm,
even your vision. Why are you killing yourself for it?
mhm,
So it's the honoring of self so that we can serve
Yes.
others because there is no self at the end of the day.
mhm.
And I get feedback about that a lot too of, it's selfish to talk about self-care and self-love. I think that's something women also teach themselves.
Mhm.
Um, but it's not at all. There is no self. We're all connected. So if I can show up in my full healthiest embodiment, I can be the best person I can be to help you. And we need to remember that.
Wow, that
Beautifully said.
very beautifully said, Shannon. So
Yes.
I thought about an experience I had
Mm.
with trying to speak loudly
Okay.
over noise. So I did a friend of ours invited us to this back to school bash, and it was a backpack giveaway. There were artists performing, and she asked if I wanted to perform. I was like, "Oh, cool." I didn't know it was just so much open space to do your thing, but it was a
Right.
lot of people there, and I was like, "Why not? This is the vibe."
Mhm.
So as I was performing, it was live. I really enjoyed it. Ezra, as you know,
Mm.
loves the microphone, and anytime I'm doing anything music related, she's gonna jump in like hands down. And Ermaya's in training, so she's
Yeah.
definitely on the way too. Straight up. But I realized that when I was spitting my rhymes, that I was yelling in the
Mhm.
microphone, and to the point where I could hear the scratchiness forming in my voice, and I was like, "That don't sound good." Like I just, and this was a note. This was a note I took for myself.
I understand.
Don't ever do that again
Mhm.
because it doesn't sound good. If ever that happens and you feel like your voice is not being projected over the beat or whatnot, ask for the DJ to turn the mic up.
Ask.
Ask, and it's crazy because I'm a DJ too, so I know that that is possible. But there was a natural temptation for me to want to exert my voice and like yell
Mhm.
when that's not how I recorded the song. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't me yelling lyrics on the microphone when I recorded.
Never heard it
Why would I do that?
in
At a live
performance.
performance, unless I'm hyping the crowd. But
Mhm.
as in regards to like just spitting the rhymes, don't do that. Like, and
Mhm.
you reminded me of that, and it's so hard. It was it was so natural for me to just start yelling, and I'm
Well,
like,
it's more natural to become something we're not than sometimes to ask for what we need. And
mm,
where did we learn that? Why do we do that? Why is it
And
so scary?
and we're also in
real.
a culture that does has not always welcomed with open arms.
Right.
We were watching, you guys know I like to do my research studies. We were watching Painkiller, and instead of, and it's, if you haven't heard of it, it's a story about opioids and the Oxycontin epidemic, right? And so it's, instead of helping people and explaining that what it sounds like, and this is without me going to do all the research study and everything behind it, but knowing research and how we advise people to operate, right? The
Mhm,
doctors were giving 12-hour time frames between each pill, and it sounded like they needed it sooner than that, but
mm,
because of the potency of the pill, right, they knew that they had to give this time, so they told them to wait, but automatically that's going to make people use it more. if they need
Wow.
it automatically, right? So instead, we blame that person, and that's what part
Mm.
of this show is happening, right? Um, so for me, that's what I see happen a lot. When I'm looking at the psychology of the way these news stories are and the stories that we hear and different things, it's like, of course, people don't ask for help when they ask, and this is how they're treated, you know. But thankfully,
Mm.
again, when we go back to the solid foundation and a peace that surpasses understanding, thankfully, God is better than me because I don't know
Mm.
if I would have saved everybody. I don't even keep all my commitments to myself, and that's what we're talking about, right? Like having the self-respect, the discipline, and staying in that place for yourself, but also knowing that God is better than that when you
Yeah.
ask him for help. And thank God, because everybody else, literally from you to everybody, will let you down at some point. And then
Yeah.
it's the beautiful thing of, okay, well, um, is this person worth getting hurt? Because you know that people are human. You know, if it's my
Mhm.
birthday and Joe's busy with the kids, she didn't text me right back. I'm like, all right, Joe, she's a creative. You know, she be on that timeline, but it's not for me to take personal. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's not even for you to pick up. If you can't
Mhm.
control it and you thought you needed help from this person, guess what? That's not where your help from comes from. And it'll
Mm.
it'll be taken care of in another way. You know, and really staying in that garden like you're talking about, Rayleigh. I've been thinking about The Secret Garden because that was one of my favorite books when I was
Mm.
growing up,
Me too.
right? Yeah, I
Me
loved
too.
it. And
Wow.
I realized recently we were watching Wallace and Gromit and the lady had her greenhouse on top of the house. I said, that's a good idea. Get the sun, like the solar panels, right? Be on top of the
Yes.
house. But I was thinking about my secret garden and what it looks like and what is this place that I go to for peace look like? I don't know if I have a specific place or what it like I haven't built it in my mind yet. I just recenter myself and take deep breaths and think about gratitude, things like that. Um,
Mm.
but when you're talking about spiritual gifts and what comes naturally to you, what you've always loved, Lil Shannon was always reading. That's what she was doing, you know? So for me to be publishing books, I'm like, this is crazy, but it makes perfect sense, you know? So super excited to have this conversation with you ladies. And as we wrap, I'm interested to see what you're doing this week for yourself for spiritual wellness. So every week we do, let me get the banner up, we do a wisdom in action, right? Because this is a beautiful conversation. It's great. And then if we go and we're yelling at people and not getting centered and not getting rest and not drinking water, then it's out the window,
Right.
right? So, what are you doing this week to be intentional around your spiritual wellness?
Hmm. Do you want to go first, Joe?
Or I can go first. How you ladies
Okay.
want to do it? We could do
Okay.
it. Okay, sure. I'll go first because I have so
Okay.
many
Yeah.
hashtags, right? What I will say is, so let me tell you some of these hashtags, and I'll tell you which one it is. Okay, so we have hashtag bridge more connecting. I love when you said that earlier, and really, I don't think you said it on the show. I think it was before we were talking, but I love women connected in wisdom. And this conversation, I know it's timely for the teams and everything that I'm on and building right now. So I can't imagine the effect it's going to have around the world.
Mm.
And I definitely think that's part of my spiritual wellness and what I'm doing in my businesses, right? Falling in love with me, I think that's part of
Mm.
God's message for us this year is like the money and stuff might move, all this stuff will shift, but you have yourself, right? How do you honor that so that before you get mad at these people, we are taking care of as much as we can within ourselves with
Mm.
everything that he's given us to do that because we have what we need. I could write a book about these hashtags. So let's not explain every single one. But if I had to pick a wisdom in action, it would be really what I've done and been super successful this week. Return to that place within, right? I'll
Mm.
tell you ladies a story real quick. And my dad said I could share it. So crazy stuff is going on, right? Teams have had emergencies all year. If you ladies listen to the podcast, if you're listening to the show, we know that my friend passed away, right? So we're talking about 30 years old, making sure you're living your life in purpose and on
Mhm.
purpose with the correct heart posture, right? Has been um, a lesson for me. And so when I think about returning to the place within, I got news that my dad had been arrested. I said, what is going on?
Mm.
I said, what? Something else? You know, in the planner, that's not what I had that day in the planner, you know? And so I work on operating from a place of rest and not a hustle, you know, okay, Lord, so I don't feel like I'm supposed to go right now. Let's sit for a second because this is out of my control, right?
Yeah.
Long story short, I go to bail him out, am not able to bail him out, didn't know enough information. That's crazy, right? Within 24 hours, he's out on $0 bond. That was not supposed to be the case the day before. Can't be anything but God. Like that, God worked the situation out, right? Um, but for me to return to that place for my spiritual wellness and know that if it's not in my control, it's not for me to lift. God will
Mm-hmm.
take care of it. And
Mm-hmm.
the prayer warriors were on it. And we're
Yeah.
on to the next day and we'll keep going, you know. But
Mm.
things like that happen all the time. So that's my wisdom in action. Hashtag return to the place within.
Wow. Whoo. I'm just, taking in a deep breath for that because to get a message or a phone call like that, wow. I mean, you're a person that Shannon that maintains composure pretty
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
I
I
thought
do.
I was pretty good at maintaining composure, but when I saw, like, first of all, let me just say I have seen Shannon in action in doing exactly what she just said. Like
Yeah.
one of the first times that I had seen her in her space when she was at the time she was a manager
Wow.
at one of the local Papados.
Yeah.
Papado is like a huge restaurant. Any and
Yeah.
everybody walks through those doors. It's like the most popping seafood restaurant, and I don't, it's rated up there high.
Yeah.
So everything from the quality of the food to your experience and everything, it takes a lot of detail. So like Shannon's job and role was super important because she's managing it all. And can I tell this story? Can I
Go ahead
tell?
and tell it. Yes. Yes.
So the story is so me and my well we were dating at the time, but my
Mhm.
now husband, we were in the restaurant celebrating one of our friends, I believe it's Tasha's birthday.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, this was a years
Mhm.
back. So I
Yeah.
saw Shannon, I'm like, yo, Shannon, what's up? I think we had
Just
already
met.
yeah, had met, and I
Yeah.
was super excited, like, look at my new friend. I
Yeah,
wanted to
we was
introduce
locked
you to
in. That's like my
Austin.
best friend. Yeah.
And I was, introducing, and Shannon waited for me to like be super excited and like introduce her to Austin. She introduced herself, she smiled, she gave a, handshake and nice to meet you and all of that. And like literally we went on
Yeah.
to do what we were doing and whatnot. Later, Shannon
Mhm.
came back to me and pulled me to the side and was like, girl, I just I just had to basically be the solution person for somebody who just had an allergic reaction. Now, in
Mhm.
a restaurant, when somebody has an allergic
It's a
reaction, it's
big
a
deal.
huge deal because you don't know what the effects of the allergic reaction is going to have. Like my
Mhm.
sister suffers with allergies, and she had an allergic reaction like not too long ago, and it was
Wow.
like she almost stopped breathing. So
Wow.
it is very serious, and so Shannon navigated me through everything that she had done. She had called the ambulance, get information on the person that was suffering with the allergy, figure out what was in the food. She did all of this,
Yeah.
but maintain her composure enough to introduce herself to a new friend and a friend she had just met, and I didn't see any sweat. You know what I mean? Now I don't know what happened in the kitchen. I don't know what
Yeah.
happened like in your garden because I'm
Yeah.
just thinking in the garden it probably was
Yeah.
like but I
Yeah.
say that to say, like, you have such a strength in it,
Thank
and you never know if you never know if your practice is working until you're in a situation that calls for you to pull that flag. You know what I
you.
mean? Like,
Yes.
it's easy to meditate and to be centered when
Mhm.
everything around you is pretty peaceful, but when something go down or something hit the fan, that is when it's time to show up with it. And I think sometimes we look at those situations happening as, why did this happen? Like, this is terrible, or whatever the case may be. But it's making me now look at it from a different perspective. No, this is an opportunity for me
Mhm.
to practice and for me to express what the practice does, which is make me
Yes.
sharper spiritually, and it
Yes.
allows me to put into action slowing down and operating from a place of wisdom as opposed to being reactive
Mhm.
emotionally. So yeah, I had to shout you out real quick and
Thank
tell
you.
another story of how
Yes.
you know, you were a soldier,
Yes.
a peaceful soldier, the most
Thank you
peaceful
so
soldier.
much.
in handling
Yes.
that situation. Yeah.
And I was so happy to see you guys. A little bright spot. I said, "Oh, that's Joe with the." She had the aviator glasses on. I said, "Yep, that's Joe. I know them glasses." So, what's your wisdom in action this week, Joe?
Um. So lately, so you asked me how I was doing on my workout last week.
Yes.
Didn't do well at all. This
Okay.
week though,
That's okay.
this week has been a good week for working out.
Good.
Um Yesterday, what's today? Wednesday. Monday
Yeah.
I went to the gym. Um we're members at the Y, which is awesome because they have childcare
Yeah.
and you're able to it gives you so much
Good.
space to be you.
That's
But
beautiful.
we went to the gym and I knew throughout the day I'm going to the gym. I had set an intention. I did all the things throughout the day because I knew going to the gym was my treat. So when we got to the gym, not only did I run on the treadmill, I ran a mile, then I did a little lifting with the weights.
Hmm.
Girl, how about I went into a spin class? I did a biker's class.
How was that?
Amazing. And it was
Mm.
my first time. And so I say that to say I want to do more of that, more
Mm.
of a mixture of doing things that I know keep me upbeat and fill my joy tank, as well as trying new things that brings out the inner kid. Like, whoa, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
having that whoa reaction when my quads were burning like crazy. Like I didn't know a bike could work me out like that. But the music was exciting.
Yeah.
It's like the lights are off and they have like club lights going, and the instructor is really entertaining. Like she keeps you going, and it's like
Keeps
music.
people
So it's like
going.
two of my favorite things: good
Yeah.
energy and music. So yeah, I definitely
That makes
say that
sense.
again. That's how yeah, just those things.
I like it. I'm gonna put it on my list because I've been thinking about it since college, and I always look in the
Mm,
room because I worked at the gym. I look in the room, nah. I think about my thighs burning. I just go do some squats and some lunges. But I like that. When you're talking about joy, I've been thinking about skipping. That's what I add in my walk. Sometimes just start skipping. The last time you
mm.
skip down the street, it makes you
That's
feel like a little
real.
kid. What about you,
What?
Rayleigh? What's your wisdom in action this week?
I love it.
Can you see me skipping down the
Ah,
street?
yeah.
Yeah.
Come on,
I'm
come
gonna
on.
do it today. I'm gonna do it.
Mhm. Um, Mine is normally I want to be running at 100,000% every day, all
Okay.
the time.
Okay.
So mine this week is relax and restore.
Mhm.
And I like those two words together.
Mm,
Relax and
Yes.
restore. I'm relaxing with purpose.
It's
I'm
a thing.
relaxing with purpose and intention is to give me energy. There's
Yes.
energy does not die, it does not stand still. It is moving somewhere. It's still moving me in the direction I want to go if I
Yes.
yes.
relax. So that's what I need to do this week. And I
Mhm.
have found when I really don't want to, when I really don't want to stop, when I really don't want to relax, that's when I need to the most.
Yes.
So
Mm,
that's this week. And if I don't listen, eventually my body shuts down, which also happened this week.
Mhm.
So yeah,
mm.
I need to honor that and honor the wisdom of my body and listen. And I'll probably
Yes.
find I'll be more mentally and physically functioning next week after this.
Yes.
So
You got this.
relax and restore. Mhm.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It's been so fun. I know we could talk for hours.
Right? No,
Yes.
and I mean, we have the volume, we had the book signing. We definitely have
Hey,
more to talk about. We
I'm
gotta
sitting here
continue.
thinking like, when can we like reconnect? When can we hop on
Yeah.
a IG live or something?
Something, so let's
Anytime.
talk about, right? Let's talk about what we have coming up. And really, I want you to share your stuff too. So, Joe asked a question, guys. What do we have coming up? It is September 13th. 2023, and we have a book signing next week. So this is for volume 1, right? And this will be our last one before volume 2 is published. So come out in Atlanta. The information will be on our Instagram at the Owl Who Attic and Bookstore. So we're super excited. And Rayleigh, of course, you're invited. And
Come,
then
come.
guys, yes, and then we'll have volume 2 stuff coming up. We have the conference at the end of the month, and we'll release those dates as we release the volume. And we were gonna have a Glow Club meetup on Saturday Saturday, guys, but if you have been online and you saw the information, we actually have construction. So I will update online, but instead of being on Auburn Avenue, Shayla Glow is going to be on Edgewood with Zanaya Naturals. I have my candle. We're talking about resetting. Okay, get your body candle, rub it on my joints
Hey,
because I am out of Shayla Glow right now, which is unacceptable. But I will get some more shea butter and stay
got
tuned
to.
for right and stay tuned for everything we have coming. So, Rayleigh, before you go, please let everybody know what you have coming up with your retreat and where they can find you.
Yes.
Right. So November 10th through 12th is the Journey Within retreat to relax and restore in the beautiful Black Mountains outside of Asheville, North Carolina. And that's in partnership with Cynthia Phelps, who's also part of the Women Connecting Wisdom community.
Hey.
Yes, she is.
So, yes, that's going to be coming up soon. You can check out my website, consciouslifestylecoaching.com, and go to
Yes.
the retreat tab and read details, send me an email. I'm also on Instagram, just at Rayleigh,
Yes.
and Facebook. I'm on YouTube. And yeah, please reach out. And also have a course coming out, Revive Your Soul Purpose, which is in alignment also with this podcast discussion today. And that'll be October 10th through 12th, a 3-day online journey. So
Oh,
thank you so much. And I hope to have you guys connect.
of course.
Yes. Oh, I
Yes.
don't want the conversation to end. I
I
promise I
know.
do. Like,
I
I'm like,
know.
oh, where's the time? Like,
And I would stay, and usually we cut it, but we're going to this cover reveal and we have some things to get ready for volume
that's
2.
right.
But I love that we always feel that way.
Hmm.
And actually, let me let you go, Rayleigh. Thank you so much. And we'll see you on the other side. We'll talk to you
Thank you,
soon.
Rayleigh.
Bye, guys.
Peace. Whew, I always feel that way, Joe. And that's how I
Mm.
felt since the first day I met you. Like, yep, we got a little more to talk about, at least a little bit more. So I love
Girl,
the
I
energy.
have I have poured my heart out to you.
Hmm,
Like I feel like so much, and at times I'm like, can you like I'll stop and say like,
mhm,
okay, wait a minute, before I do that, do you have the capacity? Like is because I feel like our relationship provides that comfortability
mhm.
to really be like super transparent and because me and you like both of us we are the strong friend like both of
Yeah.
us
Yeah, we are.
like both of
That's
us.
that's most of us in Women Connected in Wisdom. Like, we check on everybody else. Yeah.
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 So when we check in, what I love about me and you is that we don't have that, that role, that hat on. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're strong for each other, but
Mhm.
we also have a space that's comfortable to share it, like be real,
Yeah.
to be like super real and be like, okay, how you feeling today? I don't even know how I feel today. Like
Yeah.
it's all over the place. You
Like,
know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So
Mhm.
I really appreciate that. And I will say you taught me so much. About true friendship. You really have. You've
Thank
taught
you.
me so much. You've allowed me to even look back and look at all the valuable friendships that I've had throughout life by just like I can reflect. That's a real friendship if
Yeah.
the friendship allows you to reflect on all the other like real friendships you have too. And honestly, look at all the things I do right, look at the things I do wrong, and it's a space of grace to correct where I need to. I just yeah, I love that God blessed me with you,
Thank you,
and
Lord. Oof.
yeah, and because
So
sometimes
grateful.
I'm like, dang, Shannon kind of hit like something that I do need to work on, or like sometimes you don't even say anything, you just like do you, and I'm like, she is really sharp in that. I need to do better.
And you do the same thing? I saw those potatoes online. Austin said, "Wife has been cook." I said, "You know what? Baby, you want some potatoes? We can get some potatoes." So,
Girl, yeah, we
yes.
be cooking. We
Hello,
be.
Flavor Town, okay? So, I love it, and,
Yes.
that's why you just go with the flow. And I used to say dead fish go with the flow, and then I realized one day gardening actually would pop it up. We were out serving, and then we'll jump, and one of the volunteers that was usually there taught us that when you pull the roots up, go with nature. Don't try to go
Mm,
against you're trying to go against the earth. Like, why are
mm,
you trying to do that? Go with what makes sense. Go with the flow of it. So
that's
super
real.
grateful that I didn't just walk away from that circle when they were like, "Do you know each other?" And it wasn't like,
Mm,
"I don't know her," and then left. And look what you leaving on the table. Top
mm,
4% podcast, Amazon best-selling book.
Come
4 year
on.
4 year relationship with somebody who I can partner with skills and pray with and travel with through COVID and,
Ooh,
like, blessings on blessings.
blessings
Blessed
on blessings.
to be
And
connected.
it's only up from here. Like I
Mhm.
said, we're gonna be sitting on Oprah's couch in
Yeah.
her garden.
I've been trying to figure out I think I wanna go to Hawaii. I said, "Oh, she got land in Hawaii? I think that's where I wanna go.
Yeah, for real. And I
Let's see
shout
what
out to
happens."
Rayleigh,
Yes.
because the work that she is doing, first of all, I don't think I realized like what her work was, what category the work was in. When she mentioned family, I was like, wait a minute, what? Because
Yes.
that is people talk about like couples counseling and personal one-on-one counseling, but family counseling, Shannon, if I knew about family counseling when I was a teenager,
Mm.
the many fights that I wouldn't have had, like with
Wow.
my parents, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I
Yes.
didn't fight my parents, of course.
I
I
hear you.
respected my
Yeah.
parents, but
Yeah.
some things I didn't understand
You coulda had some
about.
tools to be more effective.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like family counseling, like if that was a thing, like when I was a teenager and younger, because it's not like I feel like we're moving into a space where it's normalized now,
Mm.
which is great
It's great.
to have that resource. But man, my the teenage Joe on the inside is like, where was
Would
that
have been
at when
nice.
I was?
Mhm.
Yeah, so shout out to her for the work that she's doing and
Yes.
being authentic.
Mhm.
I mean, it's her. I feel like she just exudes authenticity, and she's going to maintain her gentleness
Yeah.
and not be swayed by on the outside. And that's just such a powerful thing. That's a superpower, actually. Talk about activate your superpower.
Activated.
It's The conversation was just so easy. It's like I said, I don't want it to end literally, but I know we
Right.
gotta go.
I know. Ooh, so this was a long one, y'all, but it was worth it, okay? Because it's
It
episode
was.
129. So we're going into the higher numbers, into more seasons. And
Yeah.
again, thank you so much for your support, Joe.
Thank
Super
you.
grateful to be connected and for all that you add for my spiritual wellness and me knowing that I have a beautiful place to return to within that you help me shape, because you're the wife and the mom on the call. Okay, mom, okay, wife, showing us the way and the positions that we see ourselves going. It's
That's
beautiful to
real.
watch you ladies live your life too. So I love you.
Oh, I love you too.
Talk to you soon.
All right, sis. Peace.
Peace. Okay, ladies, and thank you so much for watching, for joining us for episode 129. We will be back live next week at the same time. In the meantime, be well, be wise, be whole. We'll see you soon. Peace.